And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
Hello there, my name is Brandon Couch, and let's talk Strange New Worlds. There will be spoilers. So, what episode is this? The Sehlat that ate its tail. Basically, Kirk is first officer of the USS Farragut. They get into a really bad spot. The captain gets injured, and he takes command for the first time. Well, not the first time, but like the first time he's like been in a serious critical situation. He takes command. The Enterprise comes in to help. Basically, all of the characters from the original series beam onto the Farragut, and this giant indestructible ship thing basically eats the Enterprise and warps away. And so we have, for the most part, the crew of the original series trying to deal with this, while Kirk is struggling with his first real critical command, and he has a crisis of consciousness. He, in a lot of ways, is very much the Kirk we know from the original series, but in a lot of ways isn't. He's not ready for this, and every character kind of just falls into their roles as we know them. Like, Spock is the one who talks to Kirk and gets him to where he needs to be to solve this thing. Kirk gives a rousing speech. He has this line, "I'm not one for rousing speeches," which is great considering how many speeches he gave in the original series. And yeah, there's Kirk is like, "Hey Scotty, perform some miracles for me," and Scotty's like, "This is insane, we can't do this," but eventually ends up doing it. And like, I really enjoyed this episode. I especially really enjoyed the stuff on the Farragut with the crew, with the original series characters, but played by these actors. There was a while ago I heard that they were talking about doing a spin-off of Strange New Worlds featuring Kirk and the crew of the original series. And like, after this episode, I'm all in. Just cast Bones and Sulu and let's get this going once Strange New Worlds ends. Meanwhile, on the Enterprise, they're trapped inside this ship that seems to be alive. Yeah, it's weird. It's like a scavenger ship, but like it kind of seems to be alive. There's like an umbilical cord stuck to the Enterprise. So yeah, they're dealing with that on the bridge, Ortegas, and they're trying to figure out how to pilot the ship through this. All comms are down, so like they need to like operate the nacelles individually, but communicate to the bridge, and like that's not possible. And engineering is like toxic, and you can't go in there. And La'an and Pike are like fighting these intruders that are on the ship. So Pelia, who's been alive a long time, she says this is the first time she's been glad to be alive since the first time that she's glad that she lived through the 1980s. Decides to wire up a landline throughout the Enterprise, so they have to talk on phones, and they figure out how to pilot the ship out of there. Meanwhile, Pike and La'an defeat the intruders, and yeah, they get out of there. And by that time, the Farragut has fixed their stuff as good as they can, and they blow up the ship. And then they realize that this ship is actually an Earth ship from the later 21st century than we are now. But yeah, and these were all humans. And Kirk really struggles with that. And there's this great scene at the end between Pike and Kirk where Pike's like, "You did good on your first command," and Kirk's like, "Why does it hurt so much more that they're humans?" And Pike's like, "Well, that's the lesson. Like, you have to be, what's the word? You have to show empathy for your enemies as well as your allies." And then Pike says the last lines of the show. They both stand up, and Pike says, "Good night, Captain Kirk." And that was just like a great moment. Like, we've seen Kirk before, but like we're starting to see him become the Kirk that we see in the original series. I really did enjoy this episode. I'm being quiet because my baby is asleep in the next room. If the audio is off, I'm trying a new thing. this is a set. I don't actually have like a shrine to all my Star Trek stuff. Anyways, I thought this was a really good episode. Tune in next week. I'll review episode 7. But yeah, that was my opinion. I want to hear yours. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. While you're at it, like, subscribe, do all the things. You can find me on Instagram.com at CouchTalksMovies. And if you like this, you probably like Star Trek, so you can check out my podcast Tomorrow is Yesterday, where I review episodes right now of the original series with my best friend David and my wife Ryan. But yeah, you can find that wherever you get your podcast. So until next time, live long and prosper.